Welcome back to Watching the Throne on the Late Night Chat Network, episode 86. All right, welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, Nico, aka Crybaby Cole, for this episode. As much as I don't love the character, it's a name going around the internet right now for this guy. So I had to represent that here. I thought it was pretty awesome that other fans are sharing in the hatred of this character.
Yeah, he had to apparently turn off his comments from his last.
Oh, I read that.
Yeah.
And then I saw some
The
comment
actor.
where it's like, yeah, they're like, yeah, right. They're like, Joffrey, if back in the day wouldn't have gone, imagine that if you would have had to go through the same type of shit for his character and how much people hated that character, right? But yes, and joining me today, my co-host, of course, Christina, aka the Mistress of Whispers, here today. How you doing?
Hello. I'm good. Yeah, I don't know. I was just like, I'm all about the gossip. Why not?
There you go.
Rhaenyra coined what's her face, the White Worm, the Mistress of Whispers for her. So why not? Even though she's also not one of my favorite characters, but whatever. It is what it is. We're just going with that theme tonight, eh, Nico?
Nice. Yeah, exactly. I can be a bit of a crybaby sometimes. What can you do? But yeah, welcome back, everybody. And I'm sure for any of you viewers out there who are constant viewers of the show here, you might notice one of our seats is empty at the moment. JT will be joining us shortly. But as we've been doing these shows live lately, and he was kind of late to getting here today, we didn't want to push it off too late into the evening, because I know weren't able to really put the post out for this like we normally would, just because scheduling was up in the air for this one. So but he will be joining us just a little bit late. We'll probably, when we get out of the the setup of the episode and all that kind of stuff, he should be here with us shortly. So don't worry, not to worry. He hasn't missed an episode yet.
Back.
Yeah. But yeah, since we're doing them live, we figured we get started here without him. And today we're talking about episode 3 of season 2. Mm-hmm. And of course, that one's called The Burning Mill. I'll just put that up on the screen here. Christina, what did you think of this? Overall thoughts of this episode?
I was so confused with this episode. I usually have a pretty good grip on what's happening and who's talking about what and what. I felt like I was watching Game of Thrones for the first time, all over again. I mean, I'm watching House of the Dragon for the first time all over again, but it's like I had I don't know, I had a hard time concentrating on this one. It was okay. It was great, but I don't know. I had a really hard time just really concentrating on what the hell was happening. How about you?
Yeah, I don't know if I had a hard time concentrating so much in this one, but I feel like, again, the pacing was off to what we normally expect of this series. The last 2 episodes I've commented on that, and I definitely feel like that was the case last episode as well. Big things are still happening every episode, but the way that they build up to those moments, there's a lot more kind of long drawn out scenes, a lot of interaction, a lot of stuff that I feel like they're taking for granted the fact that a lot of people have read this material, I feel like, at this point in the books. And I think there's a lot of things that they're not necessarily conveying to people as the viewers that I'm now learning after the fact of watching it on the internet. And I'm trying to stay away from some of that stuff because they're kind of slightly spoiling some things for me. There's one thing I saw where I'm like, shit, I hope that's not how that plays out, because I'm like, I didn't want to read that about one of the characters here.
Oh, but no, really?
But I think, but yeah. But about one of their demises, which is not it's not, thankfully it's not a character that I'm really upset by, that I learned possibly what had happened to them. But there's, still, it's one of the main players here that we're seeing in these
alert, half spoiler.
Yeah. So, And I know some things were said in Game of Thrones. I had seen someone mention that there was talk of some how some of these people died. Obviously, in the original Game of Thrones series, there was
Okay.
mention of that. So, like, that's what I mean. But I think there's like some things that are happening here that aren't being like fleshed out to the point where like there's a new character that gets introduced in this episode where now I'm seeing that, like, I guessed it in my notes. I'm like, is this like a witch of some sort? And then I saw a post today where they confirmed it's like, oh yeah, this is so and so witch of Harrenhal or whatever. And I was like, okay, I'm like, that is what I thought, but it's not like I knew that this episode really. Like, you're just like, well, what the hell is that? And then I saw a post today where someone's like, yeah, it's this character so and so. You know what I mean? So I as great as the internet stuff has been, and Christina and me have been sharing some funny memes all throughout the week. Honestly, there's been some really good ones 3 episodes in. Honestly, some really fun things going around. But yeah, favorites that you've seen so far. I know we've sent quite a few to each other.
Oh,
Worth mentioning?
I can't right off the top. Oh, you caught me right off guard. I was like, I don't know. Like, yes, there was tons, but the content just like as fast as it flies in your face, it like leaves your head.
Well, I'm just looking at our chat right now.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I didn't.
and one that I sent you today, I found quite funny, that the actress who of course has gone on to play in Ted Lasso, the show, which was very popular. The woman who was, of course, the shaved nun woman, I forgot her name, Hannah Waddingham, who's been doing like bigger things since Game of Thrones, but like obviously that's an iconic character still for that moment with Cersei. She commented about how that's my outfit, get it off, to a picture of Rhaenyra wearing it in this episode, which I thought was pretty funny, because as soon as I did see that that get up, the nun get up in this episode, it did honestly remind me of course of that woman, like right away when I watched this episode. So that was kind of fun. I thought I like how some of the past stars of the show are getting in on kind of some of the talk
things that are happening. Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's kind of fun.
So similar to that, like I saw a Rhaenyra like in her outfit leaned up like Whoopi Goldberg in Sister Act.
I didn't see that one. That's pretty
good.
I
didn't send that to you. Oh man, no, that one was that was one of the first ones I saw, and I was like,
I can picture the poster in my head. So that's pretty good.
yeah, there was that one. It's really funny.
HBO looks like kind of sit down with all of the actors, and they did like a bunch of little fun kind of like like chats with them, like that people have spliced up and been putting out as clips and stuff like that. And just the fact of as well, like I mean, even the Hawk Twa memes are getting in on the Game of Thrones stuff. The woman.
I can't believe that's like we were walking the mall on the weekend, and like there was one of these shops or whatever that literally had a T-shirt with like
already, right? Yeah,
already in the window.
She's like, a legend. She's a legend.
I'm like, it's been like 5 days. Like these people are fast.
Yeah, I saw a post where it was just like, this is the first official podcast episode with this woman, and she's like on some big podcast or something talking about the viral video and how big it was.
Podcast with like Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he took a picture with her. That's right. Yeah. So yeah, no, I know, slightly off topic, but of course Game of Thrones had to get in on the memes with her as well. There's a lot of kind of Alicent comments about her and her infidelities with Kristen Cole or whatever.
Oh yeah, I sent you that one.
A lot of that stuff going on. So yeah, there's some good stuff out there in terms of the meme content. And and let's not forget the what's his name curled up with his madam there in the pleasure house comparison to a chicken wing, because chicken thigh that you sent me, which is so terrible. Like I know, but it made me laugh so much. It was like, I was like, oh my God, that's brutal. It was so good though. But like, it's because like, and we see more of him this episode, a lot more of that guy. Yeah, I don't know. No one expected that. And apparently he's out there telling people it's not a prosthetic, folks. I'm just like, all right. I called that last episode. Remember I said that? I'm like, JT was like, oh, there's no more nudity. What the fuck? And I'm like, hey, there's probably gonna be some dudes watch.
You did actually. Wow. Like, do you have an in that you're not like telling us about? This just in extra,
But how can somebody, like, I know that guy's a tall guy, the actor, of course, and I'm blanking on his name. Is Ewan or Ethan or something like that? I
Oh,
think his name is.
Ewan. Yeah, it's
Ewan.
because
Yeah.
I just know that because it's like it's so unique that it's like the Ewan McGregor. He's the only other one
Right.
that I know. So I'm
Right.
like, okay, I'm gonna remember that, but don't ask me about anybody else because I don't know
Right.
any of the other ones.
Yeah.
But
No, I know. I don't remember everybody's name off by heart either. But yeah, I mean, for a guy that's so skinny on his backside, he's pretty jacked in the front. It was a weird visual. I don't know. It was like when
he's
he
got a
rose it.
very interesting body type. I mean, not to like, body positivity, hashtag,
Right.
here,
Right.
but like he's got a very interesting body type because he's so lean, but he's
Right.
got like muscles and he's tall, but he's lanky and like deformed, but like not. I don't know.
Right.
It's very straight. Yeah. But
That's why
I was not expecting that at all.
that's why that chicken meme though is I can laugh for a good few minutes after you send me that one because I'm like, ooh. But yeah, but anyways, yeah. So there's been some funny stuff out there. So I hope you guys are enjoying the fandom of it all and the fun and games. I haven't seen anybody be as horrible as they were at the end of Game of Thrones as of yet. There is some people I'm seeing that aren't enjoying the direction of these episodes as of yet, but I've been overall enjoying it. I don't know
Yeah.
what they're
I
doing. I
have.
mean, it's the internet. You're gonna see everybody. There's always gonna be some people that hate on
I
something.
agree though. Like I haven't seen half as much like hate for
No.
this series or these episodes as I have in the past with Game of Thrones. I don't know what it is. I don't know if people are just like not taking it as seriously or I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what I also appreciate now is and maybe it's just because now I'm getting targeted content, but not aside from the funny memes and jokes, I'm actually getting like real backstory posts about things that are happening alongside what's happening in the episodes or things that they're just elaborating on. And so I haven't really encountered any spoilers, which I'm shocked about. And if I do feel like I'm going to become like coming up to one, I'll just flip
Yeah.
the video or whatever.
Yeah.
But there have been some really cool, like I know in last episode or the episode before, I think it was last episode, I was talking about the tapestry in the beginning, explaining like, the Targaryens coming from old Valyria and whatever. So now I just saw a video recently that explained everything in like greater detail and what I just thought it was really cool to get all of that specific info. I think I sent that to you too.
You did, yeah, yeah, and that tapestry is changing,
And it's
crazy
changing, yeah.
amount episode to episode. Yeah, even more so than when the buildings would pop up and stuff during the Game of Thrones opening, and even kind of I think it was on the first season of House of the Dragon. It was more similar to that, right? If I am not mistaken, this tapestry thing's kind of specific to this season, right? Yeah, so yeah, that's really interesting. Like you said, there was a lot of history kind of given even during that opening or that video that someone put together that kind of pieced together certain events that have happened. And yeah, it's really well done. Actually, it's something. It's so you could most people don't even bother watching those intros anymore, right? But like you're really missing out on a lot of great like Easter eggs or just even like the way that people put that together is very interesting. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I do appreciate that as well. But like you said, without sometimes those videos, I wouldn't have even understood half of the stuff that we're even seeing during that intro, right? And yeah, so there is some good stuff. You're right. Now that we've been sharing more memes and stuff, you're right. I'm kind of getting targeted for a lot more as well. And to be fair, the thing that did get spoiled for me was in the comments on something on one of those posts. So I was stupid enough to
You
go
went
into
to the
comments.
comment section.
Yeah, so I'm not going to even blame the algorithm on that one because most people I think have been respectful and smart enough not to spoil it. It's like Walking Dead fucking spoilers back in the day, you know what I mean? Like where it was just like, you couldn't, that was like the one show you couldn't spoil for folks if they hadn't seen it yet every week and stuff like that. Like everyone was very careful. I remember in its heyday before that show jumped off a cliff.
Went crazy. Yeah. I was actually thinking about rewatching that. I think I got to like season that after what was the guy's name? Megan?
Yeah. So
It's
I fell
after
off
him.
shortly after that too. Yeah. He's kind of on it for a season or two and he becomes part of the group.
Oh,
and then I
wow. See, I didn't get that far.
yeah, I probably got a season or two more than you then if you just left right after he had got introduced, after
Yeah.
he killed Glenn.
Yeah.
But anyways, this is our our watching the Throne show. This is our Game of Thrones / now House of the Dragon overview show, not Walking Dead. So we'll get into the episode here because we kind of go scene by scene and discuss it here. And as I mentioned, JT will be joining us soon as well, our usual other co-hosts.
Yep.
But yeah, this episode was good though. I know we kind of bounced around. I didn't say too much about what I thought of it. Just the pacing, like I said, was off. But there's some good stuff that still happened in this episode. There's still some funny things that happened during this episode, I feel like, but more commentary on the characters and the storyline, not so much like I think not stuff that's purposely trying to be funny. I feel like some criticisms, I guess, on my part, but otherwise, yeah, it was okay. But you felt lost during this, you're saying specifically why? Just too much information being thrown at you in these scenes? Or did you watch this twice?
I did. I watched this twice.
Because I found like upon the rewatch, I'm getting a lot more every time. Like it actually has been helping watching these twice before these episodes.
I usually do, but I don't know if it's just like, new mom brain or something. I just like I couldn't retain the information this time. And I don't know, like I guess in episodes prior, it's just been very clear cut and they're really like drilling what's happening home because it's really only one or two major things happening. Like someone's succession is being threatened or someone's killed somebody.
Right.
So it's very clear what's happening. But this episode, there just seemed to be a lot more, and I think, what throws me off too is like when you start the scene with people that I don't know and I don't understand what's happening, I get really confused. Like in this opening scene that we're going to discuss very shortly, I'm like, why did they open with this? What is happening? Why are there dead people everywhere? Like, what is going on?
And then you gotta wait till like halfway through the episode to get kind of some sort of explanation as to why that occurred, right? Like, or reference to it,
but you
right?
barely get in. It's like, why is that so significant? Like, it seemed like a really important battle to be showing first thing, and we don't really get anything aside from like, oh yeah, they've been doing this for years.
Yeah, that's pretty much the extent of it. Yeah.
But I don't know. To me, it's just like, why would they if they've been doing this for years, why can't we just talk about it like we always have? Like now we're showing it and it's just really confusing. Just kind of like the crab feeder thing. Like it's like, yeah, we showed it, and it seemed to be really important, but we didn't give it any care prior to or after. So why are we even talking about it like that? Like, why did we even bother showing it?
Yeah, but I think that goes back to what I'm saying, even about like they're being fast and loose with some of this stuff. And I feel like, I don't know if it's because maybe it is again attributed to the fact that they know people know this material somewhat from having read the books. I don't know. Right. Okay. Like I hope that's not the case because, I think they obviously give a lot of credit to the fans and stuff too. I think it's kind of interesting that they're not spoon feeding us as much in that respect, like, because they know that people are super fans are going to take the time to learn about this stuff. You know what I mean? So maybe that's why too. Maybe we're just at a point now where that they're just going to move at a certain pace. I don't know. It's interesting.
I think, I agree with you 100%. And like we were talking about before, the internet is so fast. So it's like, they don't need to sit there and explain every little thing in detail because you could literally, as the episode is going, fire off whatever question you want into whatever your preferred search engine is. And like, it'll come up. You can get it, or just log on to any social media platform and you'll find it. Like it's not hard to find.
Well, yeah, we do a weekly show about it here. You Google it, you get recaps, overviews on websites that are known to cover TV literally the day after this airs, right? Yeah. So it's and it's nice to see that it's still such an event though. I will say that because I think despite all of the golden era television that we're in again now, that a lot of people have referred to it as such anyways, because there's so much great TV on these days. But the problem is there's so much of it out there too. It's sort of hard to kind of pick up on what may be of interest to you and what's really good out there, because there's a lot of mediocre type of stuff too, I find, these days. And there's all these streaming services. So like something like this, that's still like, I feel like a cultural event type show where like people are talking about it at length, like at least the fans of the show that are still fans of the show from Game of Thrones. I think that's pretty special to have nowadays, honestly, because like you don't see it as much, I feel like, because now most shows will drop their whole season on streaming the day it comes out, like The Bear, and people are already done with the newest season of that, right? Like something like that, for instance. And I know you guys have been viewers of that. Did you watch the new season of that as of yet?
We have like maybe 2 or 3 episodes left,
Yeah,
so we
I'm
haven't
already
like
done.
complete.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, but that's what I mean. Like that's so, and then
I got thoughts about that too, but not the show.
We should get to those though another time. But yeah, so, but that's the thing. And then people will not talk about it, I feel like, for the rest of the year, probably till the next season. So it's kind of good that they still kind of do this HBO. Like there's still some premiere kind of television HBO style where it's just like it comes out weekly and talk about it, right? So yeah. And speaking of talking about it, let's get to it here. And like I said, JT is on his way home now, so he should be joining us soon.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, as you referenced there, I felt like it was a really great opening scene. At least, like cinematography of it, that panning up and seeing all these dead bodies on the battlefield here. But basically, we figure out it's the Blackwood versus Bracken, and they kind of, these two opposing sides kind of talk some trash to one another in this scene. Is something I liked how there's reference that there's boundary stones, and he's like, hey, don't move those boundary stones. And like, I guess they're not allowed to actually pass that boundary, and they can literally just sit there and talk trash to each other from across the way without
it's like toxic neighbors.
Yeah, it's funny. So I thought you're right though. As a cold open, I was a little confused as the significance of what was happening there. But like, again, it was just a really cool visual after you get that scene of these two guys talking back and forth about like, oh yeah, your king's the false king, yours is the false king. And then basically you see like it cuts to the I think it was the Bracken that people that are all slaughtered as far as the eye can see, and they kind of pan up and you see like thousands of bodies just like in a ditch, like bloodied and killed, it seemed like, after this little scuffle that they have there at the start.
That scene was like as grim and whatever. It was beautifully shot. It was like, holy, the massacre. And like the title of this episode is The Burning Mill. The mill was there burnt because in that scene when they're arguing, it's a beautiful sunny day. They're all like, the grass is green, the skies are blue, everything's whatever. And then they hard cut to the next scene, and it's like muddy and dark and bloody, and there's, like you said, bodies everywhere. I don't know. I really liked the cinematography of this scene.
Yeah.
But I guess, okay, so yeah, like I couldn't tell. I figured it was the Blackwoods versus the Brackens pretty quick. But one of their sigils looks like the Baratheon sigil with the stag. So I'm like, are they Baratheons? Like, but they're not. I was like, why is their sigil so so similar to that? That's what made instantly I was like, I don't understand. Like, I get it, but I don't understand. And then why did they go into that battle so quickly?
I'm just looking up the Bracken sigil right now, but you're right. No, I mean, the Bracken sigil for House Bracken is actually a horse, or like I don't know if it's like a phoenix. Oh, no, it's got like the old Pegasus kind of like. Hold on, you can't see it on there. There. Go.
Yeah. See, to me, but it's like just add some antlers on that, or like it doesn't even look like there's I don't know. From far away, it looked like there was antlers, and I'm just like, is that Baratheon? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it looks similar.
Okay, there we go. Bracken. Yeah. Okay.
So that's the sigil for Bracken. But yeah, no, I can see where you could have. And again, it's like a quick cutaway of like when he's in the mud there, when you kind of cut back to it too, you kind of see a bit of it as well. And but yeah, it was a shocking opening. Like you said, we may not have known the significance of it or what's going on there exactly yet, but I think we're going to see more of that, obviously, with how Daemon left things in Harrenhal. We're about to maybe get into
all of that,
the history there between these people, because even he, when asked about it, was just like, oh yeah, those answers have been lost to time, which we'll get to that scene. That's actually one of my favorite scenes. That's probably my favorite scene of the whole episode, to be honest with you. And it's such a weird scene. Yeah. It's like, to your point about, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's some, it's definitely different. That was a weird scene, but I really enjoyed it.
We'll get when we get there, we'll get there.
Then we cut to Rhaenyra. She's burying Arik and Eric, and she's talking to Rhaenys there, and she mentions that Otto wouldn't have allowed this to happen. Obviously, they don't know that he's been kicked out, but now they have their suspicions, like, because if he was the hand, she mentions that this wouldn't have occurred, and basically, mentions the fact about how it's like, an eye for an eye kind of, and you keep going until it doesn't matter anymore who started the war for what reason, right? Because she mentioned, like, yeah, well, you killed their baby, and
when does it end? Yeah,
right. And it gets to a point, which again is referenced again in the Harrenhal scene, that if you keep going back and forth against your enemies like that, it gets to a certain point where it's true, you don't really recall what started it to begin with, right? So that's kind of what we're seeing here. Like, she's mentioning to her, like, yeah, it's not going to matter soon. We're just going to be at war, and that's going to be the end of it. Like, that's basically where we're at now, because she keeps seemingly like being like, okay, well, they did this to us, then we got to do this to them. And I think they keep clapping back on one another.
That tit for tat, that petty queen-ish, the train that I'm on. I have a very hard time just like accepting that things just need to like be there. I'm just like, but revenge, the Scorpio in me is just like revenge.
Yeah. Or you could just be like, it's too late, and there's like, just move on. Like you didn't make the hugest error in the world. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that one too. Yeah.
All right. Then Rhaenyra, she basically Rhaenyra, she suggests Rhaenys actually suggests that she speak to Alicent to avoid war, and like, she kind of puts that idea in her head here, like, maybe that's the only way we can basically avoid this war. And Rhaenyra mentions about how, like, previously she knew that this isn't something that she had wished for, and maybe there's a way that she can get a message out to her, she'll reach out. And so that's kind of discussed here as well, which becomes like a major theme of the episode. And we cut to
is that where Rhaenys says there's no war, or there's no fight more bloody than a fight between kin, but no war more bloody than no war more bloody than a war between dragons? Is that when she says that to her?
Yeah, I believe it is. Yeah, because that's the only scene, like, because the only other big scene she has where she says a lot of things is with her husband, but that's later on.
Right.
I think this is that scene that happened in this episode. She said that. Yeah. And then we cut to Kristen Cole looking all sad because his plan didn't work. Obviously, his genius plan that he had here with the I guess it did, but they just foiled it, right? But like, I guess it worked to a certain extent. But that Eric thing, and he then so they have to go to his chambers there to grab him, because he is due for his newly appointed seat of the at the council, small council, as the hand of the king, right? So they go to collect him in this scene.
I do have to say, like, his hand of the king, like, chain, like, on his armor, that was pretty sick.
Yeah,
because you can't pin that into armor, right? You can't pin the hand of the king into armor. So they created like a half chain with just like hand links on one side and then like leaves or something on the other. Like, that's pretty to me, I was
It
like, oh,
is.
that's pretty cool. Like,
It is. Unfortunately, it clashes with his
me.
horrible haircut that he has in this episode, where he's slicked down, kind of like I don't know what's going on there, but his hair is like getting worse episode to episode. Speaking on hair, I know that's a topic you like mentioning on this and the bad wigs that they had, but this is just pure Kristen Cole's hair. Like it looks
It's
like in
like
this. Yeah.
he needs a haircut. Like he's like overdue for a haircut. You know, when you like get like a buzz cut and then it starts growing
Yeah.
out and
Oh,
gets greasy, so it like, you know.
I've rocked that hairstyle he's got here. Trust me, it's not a good one. This Ween Kristen Cole look is not going good for him. I don't know.
Yes,
So
the ween.
yeah. But then he basically he discusses going to war once he gets to the small council, and Aegon the king, he suggests there he go out as well and join them because he's trying to fucking prove how big how big, how good of a warrior he is as well. He doesn't want to be one up by them. He's like, I'll join Kristen Cole, and he's tooting his
I'll
own
take
horn there.
Sunfire. No.
Yeah,
Just
I'm
like,
as fearsome as any of them, he says in this scene, and Allison's just like, all right, like they're
yes,
both like.
him and his 5'7" self, you know.
Well, Aemon's just like, isn't it smarter if you stay here? We could use you here. No one is saying otherwise. They're actually saying you should stay here. It's not smart. And then I guess in his brain, because he's self-conscious of himself and his abilities, he's as a king. He's just like, oh no, screw you guys. I'll show you. I'm also gonna go do battle. And then they're like, okay, all right, whatever you want, dude. And obviously that tune changes later on as well. But that's kind of what I did not get, that they were planning. And then we'll get to that because Larys, I believe, is the one that put that in his head, doing his dirty work as he does. I think manipulating people. I truly do not think that was what their goal was in this scene, right?
They were talking about things and I'm just like, sure. Like, and I'm like, when was it discussed that they were planning a war or not, or planning? I don't know what they were talking to be like. I'm just like,
Yeah.
La la la.
There was a lot of, that's why I'm kind of just skimming over like the important kind of beats, because you're right. There was a lot of talk about just tactical shit and all this kind of stuff, which is interesting. But I mean, we're not going to go over every single
I don't care that the Lannisters are 2 weeks behind and all of this. Like, it just, why? Who cares? Like, why are they even having a meeting right now anyways? Like, what is happening?
Yeah, maybe they're spinning their wheels a little bit in some of these scenes, right? They're kind of and because it's only 8 episodes, there's only so much that they can really, that I feel like with the pacing, there's only so much that they're really gonna. Did you know also that because I think they just approved the renewal at the start of this season, that they haven't started filming for this next season yet? We might be waiting another 2 years again for another fucking. Yeah, I don't know. That's not confirmed.
We're gonna film at the end of the year.
Is that what they've said? Okay, good.
That's what I thought I heard the last week before last episode.
I haven't heard otherwise, but the fact that they haven't already started filming is kind of bothersome to me. I'm just like, okay, when the new season is out, you should already be filming that season. You know what I mean? Like, as far as I'm concerned, that's normal shows anyways. I don't know why this show needs to be renewed. It's, you know what I mean? Like, this is a big show. Like, they're really playing it that close to the vest.
Renewed for season 4?
No, I think 3.
I thought 3 was already in the bag.
Have they already filmed it?
No, but I thought, what are you talking about? Renewed? They have a contract. Don't they have a contract for 3 and 4?
Maybe I'm wrong on this, because I know that they started this season. They announced that they're doing a 3rd season.
I thought they were. I already maybe kind of assumed that they were doing 3 and 4.
Yeah. I think that was I think that's. Yeah,
I was talking to Kyle, my brother-in-law, and he was saying that he's like, oh yeah, they're doing 3 and 4, and I'm like, oh okay.
Oh, okay, so 4's confirmed then. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, so that's good. Okay,
we'll get back to you, folks.
Yeah. I'm gonna check my stats on that and get back to you guys. But no Maester stats on that one. No, but okay.
That is very concerning though. Like, God damn it. Like, do I really need to watch Game of Thrones again for a 9th time and House of the Dragon for a 4th and the 3rd time? Do I really need to do this?
I mean, I was just guessing that it may take another 2 years. That's not confirmed. But like, again, they just haven't. I do know for a fact they haven't started filming the new season yet, though. So I mean, that's not cool. Anyways. And then there's a scene here with Mysaria. She speaks with Rhaenyra, and last episode, as we know, she kind of was instrumental in helping save her by kind of mentioning the fact that she saw the twin brother coming up on the shore. That brought word to her and saved her because the other Eric brother came and was able to fight him before he killed Rhaenyra. So she kind of mentions here, like, I'm in debt to you now. What would you like? And she's like, well, I would like a place in your court. And she's like, weren't you leaving like last time we spoke? Like, what happened to that whole kind of speech you gave me about wanting to get out of here or whatever?
Yeah.
And she's like, and then she basically, mentions that she's just, obviously had to change her heart. She was nice to her. She saw the good thing that she did for her, giving her a pass. So when she's seen an opportunity like this, given that, she was able to help her out, now she wants more out of it as a result, right? So, but can we really trust this lady is the question. I mean, like, you know what I mean? That's what I'm curious about. I mean, and I'm sure Damon wouldn't be too fond about the fact that she's possibly going to be hanging out there now when he returns from his time away. What do you think of this, Christina?
I don't see her flipping. I see her maybe abandoning, but I don't see her flipping. Like, I don't see her joining the Greens. Like, if that's the concern, I don't see that happening. But I don't see her sticking around like with Rhaenyra for long. I think maybe she's just looking for a purpose and she doesn't have one. It is kind of strange. Again, not one of my favorite characters. I can hardly understand what she's saying at any given moment. Even in this episode, I was like, is she saying? I don't even know.
I do think it's gotten a bit better, but yes, it's still there, the accent. Yeah, I know.
I don't. It's just a poor accent. It's I've worked in public service my whole life. I know accents. I can appreciate them. I can decipher them, no problem.
A difficult one.
I can't. This one just doesn't make sense. Doesn't equal anything to me.
Yeah, if it's no accent that you've encountered living in Toronto, then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it's like if it doesn't exist here, it doesn't exist anywhere. Because it's, we're like the anyways.
I don't know, man.
But it was interesting. And at second when Rhaenyra makes a mention of like, because Mysaria is like, oh, do the dragons always act like this? Because there was one dragon, Sea Smoke, that was flying around. He was kind of a little irritated, or it seemed like he was agitated. And Rhaenyra is like, oh, he's my late husband's. And for a second, I was like, who's her husband? And I was like, oh, Laenor. I totally forgot about him.
Yes.
And I was like, oh yeah, poor guy, he is dead. And I'm like, wait a second, he's not dead. But like nobody really knows that.
That's right.
And so
I'm still waiting for him to show up. Like, I know that's going to be a thing.
And so I don't know. Again, I think like he might show up because. And do you think Mysaria knows? Because she's like, she has, whisperers everywhere. So it's like, do you think she knows? That he's alive? Because the last thing she says to her, like, oh, he seems lonely. And it's like, that's an interesting. Either she's going to attempt to like dragon ride him, like take him, steal him, or she knows something is up. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I did feel like they did stick around on her, like even Rhaenyra's reaction to that. And then she kind of like walked off. Yeah. There was a lingering on that scene for a little bit. What did she? Yeah, I know, you're right. Yeah. Like that other, like last episode, let's move over here and have the conversation. It kind of felt like that. I was like, let's explore the set here a little bit.
Can I ask you this question? I just thought about this now. I'm like, if you were ever having a conversation with someone and they just said something like that, and you just stopped and looked at them, would you ever just walk away?
No.
Like, is that normal? Like, do people do this? Just walk away?
Strictly a Game of Thrones thing. I'm gonna obviously walk away now while like peering at you, like, Yeah, that's definitely
that's a TV thing, I guess, because I'm like, that's not real. That's not real life. People don't do that.
Yeah, no, because like again, there's cameras on everybody, right? Like, so no one else would catch that that view of someone giving you a look, right? As they kind of, and like, because her back's like totally like away from her, where she's like here, like looking out at the sea
The
smoke
dragon.
dragon right there. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's good that she has her for information. She's obviously useful. She's obviously already saved her, like she is in debt to her in that sense. But I think it's a big ask of her to be like, I want to be part of your court. And like, even when she told her like she was parting ways, she's like, I don't really know you. I can't really trust you, but I'm going to let you go all the same, because they kind of had a moment of like, okay, I kind of understand where you're coming from with there's Damon and your past, maybe no one like taking you seriously because you're a woman and that whole thing that she was saying last episode. But then, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, you're right. I think she is going to be useful, but whether or not like she's going to play the long game and try to screw her over at some point, I guess we'll see, right? But it's hard to tell at this point. I just don't know if I would trust this woman. Could barely understand her with that accent and whatever else is going on there. Anyways,
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
then Rhaenyra meets with Rhaena. That's her name, right? Bela's sister. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh, look who it is. It's trouble.
You're Sir Cole today too? What's going on?
I don't think he can hear.
You might need a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
You jump back on screen when you're back, buddy. So he'll be with us in a moment. I think he's just setting up. So Rhaenyra meets with Rhaena, and then she mentions like she wants her to be sent away with her sons. And she's saying that Joffrey, this is an interesting part. She says that she's sending Joffrey with her cousin Jane Arryn. They're cousins?
Yes, they are. Because remember how she mentioned that Rhaenyra mentioned that her mom is an Arryn. So Rhaenyra's mom and I guess
does that
Jane's,
mean
and so Jane's father or brother or father or mother were siblings, so like they're cousins in that regard because their parents were siblings.
So on Game of Thrones, does that mean if the Stark's mother there survived she would have been cousins with Daenerys, or like long distant cousins, or how does that work out? Like, would they be related?
Probably.
Is that like a
mean,
marriage thing, like the Aaron thing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is that I didn't know that. I don't think. I think I was overlooked, like in my part, because like, was that mentioned prior to that?
Yes. Yeah.
It was. Okay.
Yes, because that's how because Damon's wife, Rhea Royce.
Yes.
She was
the one he killed.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was an arrangement of marriage because Viserys's wife, Emma, his first wife, Rhaenyra's mom, is an Arryn. So I think, like, how do I explain this? It's like, yes, it was mentioned before. He did mention it in that, like in season 1, it was mentioned.
Okay. Yeah. So
Jane Arryn is a new name that they mentioned, but the Arryns
were mentioned to be related. Okay.
Yes.
So she mentions that she's sending Joffrey with her cousin Jane Arryn, and she suggests that she goes with them to Pentos to avoid the war. And what's this? Prince Reggio? I wrote that down. Who the hell is that?
So remember in season 1 where when Daemon and Lena, anyways, his wife, I can't even keep track, whatever his wife is, Corlys and Rhaenys' daughter. They're in Pentos and they're sitting at the table, and that man was like, oh, like if you give us your dragon or a dragon, you'll have this kingdom, we'll give you the kingdom, you can stay here forever. And then they had a conversation. Lena and Daemon had a conversation. She's like, I want to go back home, I want to give birth on Driftmark. And Daemon was like, no, we're going to stay here away from like Westeros and whatever. When they were there in Pentos, they were staying with Prince Reggio. That's that guy.
Yeah.
That was hosting them. So because Rhaena was a little girl when they were there, Rhaenyra says to Rhaena, call up Prince Reggio and ask him if you can stay there with your half siblings, like Rhaenyra's children, as a protection away from the war that's about to happen in Westeros. That's basically, so it's like that's where that came from.
Right.
That's who
Okay.
that's who that guy is.
Yeah,
Like,
because
is
I wrote that name down here, and I wasn't I didn't get why I wrote it down. So yeah, that's why. Okay, so yeah, you know what though, when we are unpacking it, like you said, there is a lot of things being thrown our way, facts and relations and stuff like that of characters we've never heard tell of before now or have seen in the show, right? There's so many characters at this point, like you mentioned last episode. There's a whole other a sibling that hasn't even been shown this whole time in that family, where you're like, where's that kid? And then that's another thing I seen online where they're like, oh, that character is going to come later or something. Like I saw like some posts.
I think
That's
they're
right.
gonna bring him
like,
in season 3.
He plays a big part later on. And I'm like, okay, but I didn't read anything about what it is, but like, I was just like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Cause like you said, that discussion was being had. And actually, you know what? And he's going to be with us hopefully in a moment. I know he's still setting up things on his end, having some issues, but I gotta give some credit where it's due. We kind of shot down JT's theory, and yet I did see some interesting theories. Of course, now he comes. He's like, "Oh, now you're praising me. I gotta come on screen." Welcome, Jay.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hello.
Good. I was just gonna give you credit after last episode, after me and Christina kind of disregarded your theory, being like, "Nah, we don't think that's the case."
Disregard.
Well, listen, we kind of were just like,
I
yeah, no. We just said we don't think that's the case, right? I mean, we're allowed our own thoughts on things, but I am seeing a lot of other people that were sharing your theory that there is some mix up with the kids there. Like that is a theory that's going around online about Jaehaerys there, and the possibility of the fact that there's other kids we haven't seen and things like that. And he's gone again.
It's okay.
Anyways, I think he's having some technical issues, but yeah, you saw that too, though, right? There was discussion about that going on.
I'm like, oh, I guess JT's not so like, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Although, and I don't know how I feel about this. How do you feel about the directors or writers of the show chiming in and kind of debunking things on the internet? Because last episode there was the guy had to explain that, oh yeah, that was Eric, the good Eric of Rhaenyra that fell on his sword, which, you know what I mean, which we already thought as viewers, but there was some confusion where other people like JT had thought maybe that wasn't the case, right? So the writer had to come out and be like, oh yeah, no, this is who that was, guys.
I think if the writer has to come out and explain to the general public like what is happening, they didn't do their job.
I agree.
As a writer.
That's like, how I see it.
If it's not that obvious, I don't know. Like
or if you want it to be something where you want people guessing, then don't explain it, right? That's the way I look at it. That's the way I look at it. Like if it's meant for us to be like theorizing and being like, you know what I mean? Like the end of The Sopranos or whatever, where like everyone's got their own kind of opinion of it or what they thought happened. If it's something like that, sure. But if it's something where, like you said, it's poorly done or you didn't get your point across and you had to go out on the internet and explain to people mid-season, I think you're right. I agree with what you're saying about it. And now you did a bad job then of conveying that, like what happened in that scene, right? So,
the other thing is, it's unless like they just want to like end it because there's not going to be a continuation of that, then it's like, okay, you're confirming that this is it, right? Like, like they're not going to talk about it anymore, so it's like, let's just confirm this is it, we're done, and squash. I don't know, it just seems like it's more of like, to me it's like, okay, you didn't do your job.
Because that happened, and then there was another thing, I think, after the airing of this episode, that the writer or the director of something had to explain something about this episode, and he went online and did this. And I know that we live in an age where some people may follow these people online or know of them, so they're sending these people messages being like, hey, the fans want to know or whatever, right? So I get it, like, but at the same time, it's just like, I think it takes away some of the fun in the discussion if we got the writer and director just explaining everything, his intentions behind during the season. Like after the season, sure, have at it, explain away, right? But I don't know if I like the response time of people like being like in the moment,
Yeah.
like that were worked on the show, being like, actually, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, there was one other thing that came up in this episode that me and my husband were like, "Oh, do you think that's what that is?" And I was like, "Oh, I think so. Like, it looks like it. They're kind of alluding to it. It makes sense, like it's there." And then I got confirmation from the internet that it is what I think it was. And I was like,
yes,
"Okay, I feel validated, but at the same time, like,
right.
did I need to? Like, can we not just let these things play out?"
Is this the thing about the necklace that was going around? Oh no, the dragon eggs. Yes, we'll get to that.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
What necklace? I didn't hear about the necklace.
So there was something from last episode that people have been talking about, the Lena, the fact that she's wearing more on her blue kind of necklace thing that she's wearing. There's more strings on it because of the fact that they killed the Jaehaerys. There was if from one scene to the next,
Okay.
you could see when she's in the procession that she's now wearing more actual, like, not pendants, but like necklace chains.
Chains?
Yeah, on her chest, which had something to do with the fact that maybe her kids all had them on or something like that. It's representative of like the fact that one of her kids died or something. I don't know. Like, that's what I was reading, something like that.
Oh.
Again, another slight visual thing where like if you saw it, you caught it, or maybe people are just reading into it too much. But the dragon egg thing is interesting, and we'll get to that here. But I guess we'll move it along. I was trying to slow up there for JT, but I think he's going to continue to have issues. We might see him recording from the car in a minute, so we'll continue on. Okay, what do we got next here?
Oh, so we're still like Rhaena. We're still talking about Rhaena because you were confused about the Jane Eyre thing,
Right?
But yeah, no, I know this one. I know she's pissed off because she's like, "Oh, great, I get to go be a babysitter and not fight battles." But I guess, sure, Your Majesty, I'll do that for you. She's pissed.
That's right. And then the next scene here is this when we see Daemon arrive in Harrenhal. Do I have that correctly?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
We see him ride his dragon and basically comes and takes over and claims lays claim to Harrenhal. And this is just a funny scene. Like, I thought like it was very subtly interesting. Like the way he kind of went and had these conversations with these people. I thought it was really funny. And again, a really nicely shot scene, like when he actually goes into the castle and it's all dark and there's like a bunch of rain falling down, and he kind of goes out into these big open rooms, and you can kind of tell how big and old and kind of like falling apart and again, big this castle is that he's kind of working his way into. And then he kind of goes into a room and just sees like a few people just sitting around at like a big, like their throne room, like a dinner table or whatever. And he kind of just takes it over easily. He sees the guy and he tells him what's for dinner. And he's like, "Oh, yes, of course." He gets on his knees. He's like, "Yeah, we're having venison for dinner." Or whatever. So then, you cut to this whole scene where he's sitting there talking to these guys, and he's kind of like, "Yep, take it over." And you're like, "Yeah, that's fine."
Sure.
Yeah,
we're not.
cool.
If you haven't guessed by now, like, you're an ally,
That's right.
we're not going to fight you.
He's like, "Go ahead, have some of your food." He's like, "I don't want to get killed by poison peas or whatever." And he's just like, "No, I don't know. The peas aren't that great, but I wouldn't say they're poisonous or whatever." Right. And then he mentions the fact of because he knows about the relation of Larys to Harrenhal. And he's like, "Larys the Clubfoot has no claim here," or whatever. He's like, "We hate that guy." Right. And they kind of talk shit about him. And he alludes to the fact of how they're aware that he had something to do with the death of his father or whatever and brother. Right. And
yeah. Because he said even in the summer, it takes a long time to even light fire to the hearths because the place is so damp. And it's like, you can see how damp it is. Like, Daemon is walking through the halls and it's like everything is wet or, feels damp. Like you could hear it, how damp it is. So it's like, yeah, of course somebody fucking set that thing on fire. Like there's no way that was an accidental,
that's
whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he kind of, and that's funny. And then he finds out that despite Harrenhal being the biggest castle, as he mentions to him, and he's like, yeah, as you could tell though, it's in complete disrepair from the last time you guys attacked us. And he's like, well, then maybe it should be repaired, right? And then he's like, well, we need the coin for that. And he just looks frustrated. He's like, we're all trying to like bring our armies to this spot because it's the biggest castle. Meanwhile, like, look at this place.
It's
This
a bunch
is
of
like,
rocks. Like
yeah.
it's like
And his idea is sound of it, but it's also interesting to think that these guys didn't have the opportunity to just travel casually from place to place. Like, it's not like they could just jump on a train, like a plane or a train or something like that. And clearly no one has been around this neck of the woods for a while. So like when he gets there, he's expecting like this crazy, nice, huge castle. Like meanwhile, this whole place is like destroyed. So it's kind of amusing how frustrated he's getting during this dinner chat with them.
yeah.
And then he's like, yeah, there's a whole thing about
Mm.
he calls him your prince, and he's like, your grace. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, right? There's that whole part.
Yeah, he does it twice and he's like, oh, my bad. Yeah. And then that
And-
last line was hilarious.
Yeah, go ahead. What was it?
No, he's saying something about the throne. He's like, the throne, like, why would you want that? And it's like the throne, like, yeah, the Lord of Harrenhal is like, what throne? And Daemon is like, the big chair, lots of swords attached to it.
It's a big chair made of swords. He just like looks like what an idiot this guy is. He's like looking at it, right? Yeah. Yeah, he delivered that line perfectly. Yeah, he killed it. Yeah, that again, just my favorite scene in the episode because I like how comical.
I did just see something about that scene. So in that scene, that's when we're first introduced to that witch of Harrenhal. I think something River. Because so her last name is whatever her first, Alice River or something like that, because she's a bastard of the Riverland. So that's what, like how bastards have their last name depending on where they're from, whatever. So I heard somewhere that if you watch that scene again from like Daemon showing up to him entering the hall where they're eating, if you turn the volume all the way up, like on your TV, you can hear people like talking, like ghosts talking, because
really
Harrenhal is apparently it's cursed and it's haunted.
How about
right?
that?
So, I don't know. I haven't heard whatever. Like, and I had my TV up like normal, whatever. But if you really turn it up, because as we find out later, like Daemon is haunted, like later. Yes. But yeah, apparently in that opening scene, if you really turn the volume up, you could hear ghosts talking, people talking.
That's interesting. Yeah. Well, that, like you said, her name's Alice, Alys, and the post that I had saw, which again, it's I guess a bit of a spoiler because we don't really learn this episode, but she mentions that she can tell the future and she's been alive for potentially 400 years. This woman.
Oh God,
that's what it said. And she is a witch. So I mean,
we have a Melisandre 2.0.
Yeah, well, that's exactly like that's what I took it as, right? Like we're seeing like the Whisperer. Like there's a lot of like archetype
parallels,
yeah. There's a lot of like type of characters that it seems like we must have, and again with the whole history repeating itself type deal, right? So like that is who I kind of thought it was in that scene later on with Daemon. Is like, oh, that's like a woman who's a witch, clearly, right? So that's interesting stuff. Yeah. But then Daemon asked to meet with Grover Tully, and they mentioned that he's got poor health, and he says, I don't care. People should still take respect him and hear him out, and I shall meet with him. And they say that they like you said, that's when they talk about plans to set up the war to get the throne, and then there's also talk about, again, as we mentioned previously, the Bracken and the Blackwood, why they are against one another, and this is where the guy Harrenhal there mentions is his name Simon Strong, or is that a guy later that meant I think that's his name. He mentions the fact that like it's been lost to time how like why they're at war with one another. So that's kind of like you said, that's the only reference to kind of the brief scene that we get at the start of this episode, like what was really going on there, right? So and we see Kristen in his new haircut in this next scene. And this is where he meets Alicent's brother, which did you get his name? Because I didn't get his name.
Gwyn.
Gwyn? Okay. and who right away they don't like each other, these two. He shows up and he's like, how come my father has been who's served 3 kings as the hand is no longer in his position, and somebody who comes from like, nothing like
Modest
you,
beginnings.
yeah, is now the head to the king, and clearly maybe he suspects that there's other goings on with him and his sister Allison. So like there's there's a little
Kristen,
bit.
like, so boldly in this scene was like, Your Grace, can I ask your favor? Like, so boldly. Like, you can't ask her to show a public display of affection. Like, there's no PDA allowed, bro. Like, you're the hand of the king. Like, you're the queen dowager. Like, no, he's such a crybaby. He's such a ween.
And then like he asked to like join like them and like as they're going out scouting, I guess, for the war here. And then he's just like, oh no, sorry, the party's full. And Allison's like, yep, nope, you're gonna take him anyways. Like she kind of forces him on it. He's like, all right, I guess so. Like
Okay, I guess.
and like clearly like they just don't like each other right off the hop. So that I thought that
No.
was kind of interesting.
It's a very awkward scene because Kristen's looking like, I don't know, he has this like look of like whatever on his face.
Douchiness.
Like, me.
Yeah.
I'm upset. Like a tantrumy child,
No, the party's full, I'm afraid. Yeah. No, it's not. All right. Then this next scene, we see Rhaenyra. She meets with the council about kind of talking out their tactics in the war. And she mentions that she doesn't really want to go that route or get into the whole thing of the dragons versus dragons. Maybe this is where she mentions it to Rhaenys, actually. Maybe it was this. I don't know, but there is talk about, no, I think you're right. It was earlier, but there is talk in this scene about how they don't want to have to sacrifice their dragons because she doesn't want her dragons fighting their dragons. And then once this all kind of like gets settled, no one has dragons because they've all used dragons. Yeah. So that was kind of, I feel like, very smart on her part. Like that's like a last resort kind of thing. Yeah, which I think is smart because I feel like most people that would have a dragon and be like, oh, I'm just gonna go over there and kill him with my dragon, right? But like
I would.
Right. Well, that was Daenerys in Game of Thrones, but no one else had dragons, right? So I mean, like this is a little
just blow
different.
them all like it's a
they all have dragons, though, right? So a little different. And then this next scene there, Rhaenys meets with Corlys and kind of talks to him about how she's worried about him going back out there and his part in the upcoming war, right? And he kind of disregards it and says, I'm very busy,
He's like, I'm a man. Let me go, lady.
Pretty much. Move on, woman. She's like, I'm not, because she comes there to like give him food and stuff, and he's like, I'm no longer in bed or whatever, sick or an invalid or whatever he says. She's like, get out of here. You're right. He basically puts on the I'm a man front for sure.
But they even like talk about the succession thing again, because now that Luke is gone, it's like, okay, well then obviously it goes to Joffrey, and Corlys is like, I don't know about that, or obviously yes, and she's like, well, what about Rhaena? Like, what about the daughters again? And he's just like, I don't have time for this, and he like walks away from her. It's like,
very busy, many things to do. Yeah, I was gonna ask you about this. That's kind of what I got from this too, was that I feel like Rhaenys obviously is working alongside Rhaenyra right now, but I feel like he is slowly like getting disinterested in his part in this. I feel like he's like, I don't really like, he's still going to war and everything, like he's talking about it in the scene, but I feel like his heart isn't like in it for the same reasons anymore. Like I think he's kind of like, these people aren't doing anything for us, you know what I mean? Like, because he's been screwed over a couple of times.
Yeah, and he said, I think he said in season 1 or the like first episode of this season, he said at some point that he's like, let them kill themselves, like let them go to war, let them whatever. And Rhaenys was the one that was like, it's not that simple. Like it's, you think if they go to war and they fight each other, that it's just gonna be normal for us. Like we're aligned with Rhaenyra, like our children are betrothed to each other, like our grandchildren are betrothed to each other, like it's not that simple kind of thing. And so that's why he kind of, I think that's why he chooses to side with Rhaenyra, because it's like, we're aligned. We have a family. Our children, our grandchildren are gonna inherit our throne on Driftmark. It's kind of like we have no choice. Like we don't want to be involved, but we have to be involved.
Right.
Hey
Yeah.
Jay.
So hopefully it's not. Hopefully I can keep you guys good, man.
So
I'm having
Jay,
a fucking
Oh, we're
issue,
just about to wrap up.
It's okay. I've been listening.
I'm kidding.
Do you hear crackling?
No,
Do I sound good?
so far so
you're
good.
good.
Okay.
So far so
Fingers
good.
crossed. Okay.
Yeah, I know you're having some. You worked late
This
tonight,
re-
and then you were having some audio issues lately. So yeah,
This
thank
fucking
you.
computer is gonna go out the fucking door, out the window. I'm not joking, man. After the day I've had, man, it's going out the fucking window. I'm
Well,
not
you
even
sound
joking.
fine right now, so we'll move ahead. Yeah, don't worry. So yeah,
Sorry,
so
guys.
no,
Hey,
it's all
peeps.
right.
What's up, peeps?
What's
I heard
going on?
you understood my theory. I heard you, you know, like,
We were giving you some praise there.
yeah.
It
and I
doesn't.
heard
It didn't
that,
sound as.
part
Doesn't
with
sound.
Damon, and I wanted to let you guys know that I told you about that fucking tree. It's
What
everywhere.
tree?
The
No,
fucking
that's in
weirwood tree.
Hall. That's not.
We
the
haven't
same.
I know,
gotten
but
there
still,
yet.
it's a red tree. Okay.
We'll get
You know
to that.
what? He's not. You know what, Jay? I'm gonna let you have this because I heard some things about that tree too.
I'm not just a stoner.
It's
I
not
keep telling
the
you
same
guys.
tree, though. It's not even the
It
same.
doesn't matter. It's a
tree.
redwood
Yeah,
tree.
fucking trees,
It's
whatever.
special.
It's a weirwood tree, not a redwood.
Whatever. Redwood, rearwood, whatever. Special
right.
tree. It's special.
The stupid theories that were
You
going
calling me a
around online
crybaby?
is now, yeah, it's crybaby cool, baby.
I'm the hand to the fucking king, bro. You better
No,
bow.
please. But no, the
And
other
I'm
thing
fucking
that
his mom.
the other thing that was going around now is, of course, there's talk about the who the Night King is again, and I saw that debunked really quick. Somebody's like, that the Night Kings are like, that was like even before this show, they're saying. So I don't know why people were trying to say that certain characters in this are the Night King again, because that was another thing of
Who were they
theories that
saying is the Night King?
they're trying to say, like Aegon or somebody like that. Like people are just
Absolutely not.
No, I know people are shooting theories out there like that. I think that was debunked right away. Like I feel like, but there was like people just guessing that certain characters in the season were going to be the Night King or whatever. I think it's just people that are misinformed about things.
The timelines.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, and then this next scene here, we get Bela and Rhaena there. They part ways with one another. This is an interesting scene, Jay. I don't know if you saw the theories behind this one, but let's unpack this scene a little bit here. So this is where Rhaena and her sons Joffrey there, and there's another one there too, right? What's
Aegon and Viserys?
They're all being sent away. And as I previously mentioned, Rhaena's going with them. But, she's kind of all upset because she feels like she's not playing an important part in this. But then Bela's like, oh, yeah, well, I wouldn't say that. Look. And then she pulls out a case that's got not one, not two, not three, but 4 dragon eggs in it. Now, the thing that went on online already is that it has been confirmed, and this is why I asked you if you like people chiming in that work on the show to confirm these theories or not in the moment, which I think they could have just left this out there because I think people would have figured it out anyways. But 3 of those eggs are confirmed to be Daenerys's eggs on Game of Thrones, but there is a 4th egg. So we don't know where that's going or what that's going to, but we also know that Rhaena also does not have a dragon as of yet, and she's taking these with her. So I don't know. I don't know if that's who it's going to go to. I don't know if something's going to happen to the egg, if it's going to end up in the wrong hands. I guess we'll see. I don't know, Christine. Do you know anything about this, the 4th egg or what?
I just know that that 3 out of the 4 are Daenerys's.
That's right. Very cool, though. That's very
cool. When I saw them, I was like, oh my God, is that them? Is that them? Oh my God, because they're going overseas. Like they're going across the sea.
I didn't even make the connection.
As soon as I saw them, I was like, oh my God, because they're going across the sea. That's where Daenerys got them.
That's right.
That's where she had them. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like I said that to Lewis and I was like, oh my God, I think those are Daenerys's eggs. And he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. I think those are them.
Yeah, and it has been confirmed. I think of the director of this episode has stated that they are her eggs, and again, that's just really cool to see a connection from one show to the other. There's only so much they can really do to bridge that gap, so I thought like that was an interesting little thing, and you know, a little Easter egg or a little dragon egg for you guys, your fans out there. And the more interesting part is what's going to happen with that fourth egg, right? Because I know a lot of people were talking about the fact that there's the 3 eggs. But there is a fourth one in this scene. So, yeah, go ahead, Jay. What's your theory? Something about a tree with the eggs or...
Yeah, they get stuck at the top of the tree.
Yeah.
No, the third one, yeah. The fourth one, sorry. No, but didn't they say something about 2 other younger dragons, too, that were going with
Yes.
her?
Yeah.
Yes. Because the three boys, so Rhaenyra's 3 youngest sons, Joffrey, Aegon, and Viserys, they have dragons. And so they like 2 of them were transported, or all 3 of them are going to be transported with them, like across the sea. And they were in a cage, but they're baby, they're little hatchlings, like they're little. So they're not war ready.
They probably
So-
did, yeah. They just hatched, so they're getting ready.
Yeah. So not only is she sending actual dragons, like she's also sending eggs.
Yeah.
And yeah, in this scene, I think Rhaena really understood, because I think it was Bela that said, like, you know, you might not think you're doing anything like
Good.
helpful,
Yeah.
but you're literally protecting the succession and the future of House Targaryen here. Like, there's
The
3
bloodline.
of these Targaryen children that you're protecting. You're essentially going to be raising.
Yeah.
You know, not only the children, but the eggs, the dragons. Like, that's a huge... I'm sorry. After that, at first I was like, okay, I can understand why Rhaena's a little pissed off. But then after that, I was like, yo, like that's
Huge
hard.
responsibility.
That's a huge
Yeah, that's a huge
responsibility.
responsibility.
You know?
Yeah, but I think it's also smart for her to part ways with them right now before shit really goes down.
Oh,
So I-
100%. Before like anybody really understands her next move. What is she doing? You know,
Mhm.
because also, like, remember, like, Viserys died in this timeline because things haven't really been sped up so fast. Aegon was crowned king, and like Viserys died, like, again, 2-3 weeks from like all of this happening. So things are happening at like warp
Yeah.
speed, like very fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
no, it is.
there's no big time jumps in this season so
The
far
series,
that,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you
And
know,
this whole series,
seasons.
really, that we, except for the first season to the
First
second,
season. Yeah.
yeah.
And Lena's sad in this next scene about Jaehaerys, and she mentions that when she meets with her mother, Alicent. She mentions the procession and how everyone was grieving, and that she, you know, her grief shouldn't be above theirs. And Alicent's like, you know, everyone deserves to be able to grieve, and then she's kind of... Alicent expresses that she's concerned for her, and then she turns around her and says that she forgives her, and she basically is just very puzzled by all this. She's like crying, and she's like, what do you mean you forgive me? And obviously, I don't know, I guess this means that is it her again predicting something that's about to happen, or is it her because it was her fault essentially that her kid got killed because of the whole thing?
Yeah,
with
she had Cole in the
crybaby
bed.
Cole was hopping on it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he jumped on it, or she jumped on it, or whatever happened.
I don't know. You know what? I didn't think
Jump
about
on it.
a prediction or like a theory, but I think that is more the case than, like, I don't think Helena really cares that her mom was like getting boned by her Kingsguard. I think it was more, I think there's things that are, I think there are things that are gonna happen.
Oh, you think this is another one of her visions type of
Just kind of like an early, maybe Helena's not going to be around to say it to her.
Mhm.
I don't know. We'll see. I have no idea, but you know,
Yeah.
anything's possible here.
Then we see a scene here where by the way, this is like mentioned like 3 times throughout this episode. Aegon the Conqueror's armor is being fitted to to King Aegon here in this next scene, and he's being fitted for his war armor here, and Larys comes to speak with him and puts it in his head that people are talking about how he was outwitted by his own council so that he can leave to the war, and that Aegon and not Aegon, Aemon and Alicent would rule in his place essentially while he was gone, and that was all like a way to get him out of King's Landing, even though it was him who insisted that he actually goes there. And he's like, yeah, you know, people are talking. He's like, well, maybe you should do something about that. And he's like, all right. So then he's about to leave, and this is when he mentions hey, my father wasn't really so big on Master of Whispers, but maybe you should be mine or whatever kind of thing. He kind of
Mhm.
puts the offer out there. And again, just kind of speaks to the type of man Viserys was, that he was just like, I don't need somebody to do that kind of shit for me. Yet this kid is so insecure, and he's playing head games with him, and he can see that he just invites him right in, this Laris. He's just like, yeah, I need you. I need your help. If you were talking about me, do something about that. And then while you're at it, be my Master of Whispers. So very interesting scene, I thought, like in
This
that
is
regard.
this scene. I also thought that Aegon is gone back to his old self again. Like he's getting back to
Yes.
his old self. He's slowly, going back. Yeah, like Allison said that once the and Otto said once the glory of it, disappears, he's just gonna go back to his old ways for Aegon for Aemon to just relax, and
Mhm.
stay in place. So, excuse me, that's my voice. Hopefully, we get to see some more of that, right? Because I like the old Aegon. He was a little better than this. I have to be king kind of guy. I like when
Well,
he was visiting whorehouses
I don't know
and
if he was
partying
better.
and drinking.
He was.
Well,
I
or
think
fun to hang out with.
I mean, we're clearly seeing that he's very insecure as king, and he's lashing out as a result of it. And we see directly in the next scene here how far he kind of goes. The next scene with him, anyways, and. But this is when he kind of is talking to his Kingsguard guys there, and they're saying that they're going to be, yeah, okay. Well, he changes his mind in this scene. Like, oh, yeah, you know what? Maybe I won't go out there, after he gets in his head about joining them in the war. And the knights are just like, oh, yeah, okay, that makes much more sense then. Hey, you should come out on the town with us, because we're going to go celebrate this squire or whatever, I guess, becoming a knight. And he's like, yeah, but you guys practice chastity now. You're knights. And they're like, oh, yeah, all right. They start laughing. They're like, yeah, right. Yeah, sure. And then he just gives them like a weird look. And they're like, oh, okay. He's serious. Yeah. He's just like, yeah, what are you guys talking about? You're knights now. You can't have sex with people, right? And he goes like very like,
It's a very serious job.
Yeah. So that was a weird, unsettling scene. I felt like the look that he shot them, though, in that moment.
Yeah, he's just very confused. He's like, okay, I know I have this big responsibility, and like I want people to take me seriously, but like also these are my boys. Like, these are my homies.
Party
That's
too,
right. Yeah, because those are the guys too that he was getting drunk with in that scene.
Those are the same guys at the beginning of the episode that were sitting on the stairs, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, we've seen them a few times now. They're also they're the guys that were sitting with him in the throne when he was getting drunk with them in the first episode, when the rat catcher and the cheese guy or whatever, blood and cheese guy, they went in and
yes. They were all drinking in the throne room.
Yeah.
Okay, question. If y'all were you got to be king.
Nico doesn't like that.
Y'all?
I never said that. Where do you get that from?
You say question first, and then you say
I thought you said y'all. I thought you meant y'all. I was like, she could say
like, y'all. I'm like, you're offended by y'all?
No. I only get offended when JT poses a question with a question. He's like, question. And then I'm like, why don't you just tell me the question? Why are you saying a question?
Oh, yeah, I did that. I was like, question for you guys.
Sorry.
If you guys were just plopped on the Iron Throne right now, would you have your homeboys? And I know who your homeboys are. Well, more Nico than JT, but I know your homeboys. Would you have them be your Kingsguard, or would you absolutely start recruiting for new guys?
He's my homeboy. Anybody on this channel is my homeboy. So I have to recruit for some new guys, man, because they're all fucking taken.
I mean, I trust my boys. I trust my boys as far as like, you know what I mean? But I also know them enough to know when to trust them in certain situations and not, you know what I mean? Like, so I feel like you'd rather want somebody that you know than someone you don't know, like with you. So yes, I would trust my boys in this case. You know what I mean? Like, it's the enemy you know more than the enemy you don't. You know what I mean? That you want
than the devil you don't know, right?
Yeah, I would rather somebody there that I know intimately more so than just a stranger that I have to trust with my life. You know what I mean? So yeah, I would be okay with my boys being there.
Okay.
Yeah. I got to give it up to them for that, for sure.
Any of the boys listening on the record, here you go. You're welcome.
And I'm gonna be king, so like that's already, one up on them. If they do anything that I don't like, exile.
Off with their head.
Yeah, exile. No, I would just exile people. I don't know how I kill them. I like exiling people like Otto, who's been exiled twice now. Yeah,
Nico the Gentle. That's what his name's
exactly.
gonna be. Nico the Gentle.
Yeah.
I just could cut people's heads off. Fuck that. Slash it right in half.
Oh man,
JT the Decapitator.
Yeah.
That's right, man.
So then in this next scene here, we got is this when they go directly? Oh no, Damon asks to meet with no, I already said that one. So this next scene directly after that, they end up going to the pub, and we see the same guy who asked about who walked up in that scene when all the rat catchers were hung up. I believe this is the same guy that we saw in that scene that walked up to somebody.
The blacksmith.
No, that wasn't the blacksmith.
No, it's not the blacksmith.
No, but I believe we saw this guy. It was a throwaway moment where you remember when
he's like, "Who are these?" And he's like, "Oh, that's my son," or whatever. They're rat catchers or something. He said something. Yeah,
I believe this is the same guy. So we meet this guy in this pub scene here, and he says that he's the son of Balon the Brave. He's uncle to Rhaenyra Targaryen, and he's the bastard brother to Prince Daemon, and that's his relation to this family. He's telling a guy from Dorne and like a couple of other people that he's friends with in this bar. And it's just some random guy. And they're like, the Dornish guy's like, I don't know. You don't even really look like them. And he's like, how would you know what he looks like or whatever? And this is when, and this is when, what's his name comes in, Aegon, to the bar and says drinks for everybody. And this guy kind of has to hide himself sort of. And it looks like I don't know. It sounds like he was making it all up, but I don't know. Like, it's kind of interesting that they would just put that scene in there, right? Like, I guess we'll find out more about that.
Well, I know they're playing on the small folk slowly through the season because they're really trying to build up this episode that is coming, I think soon. I think it's 5. It might be with the small folk being a huge proponent, like another huge battle that these people are like they're going to have to face. I don't know what's happening, but maybe this is going to be like an uprising. Like, oh, well, I'm related to this and I'm related to that, and then see what happens, because it seems so simple that like, I'm the next in line for the throne, or I'm the next, it's just, I don't know. It just seems very like,
why would they put this scene here? Yeah, no, this definitely, I feel like we're gonna see something happen with this, right? But
yeah, I mean, it could be true. It probably is true. Like, everybody was banging everybody. Like, there's no 23andMe.
Right.
Well, he said he's the bastard son of the
bastard brother to Prince Daemon.
Yeah, and Viserys.
Bastard brother, the son of King Jaehaerys, but the consolator. Did they call him?
Well, yeah, he says the Jaehaerys thing because like he just died, and he's like, oh, that's my grandson or whatever that just got killed, right? That's what he mentions in this scene. They're like, what are you talking about? And this is kind of where he goes into detail about saying that, yeah, he's a son of Balon the Brave, and
because Balon
to the king and queen.
Balon is the son of Jaehaerys.
Oh, okay. Which Jaehaerys?
The first, the one who named Viserys as king. So Jaehaerys had a bunch of kids, and one of those kids is the father of Rhaenys, and another one of those kids is the father, and Balon.
Okay,
and Balon is the father of Viserys and Daemon. So Viserys and Daemon's great grandfather. Viserys and grandfather was Jaehaerys, and so that's why I think people were. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways,
so he's related to them as a bastard.
Yeah, I study these like family trees, like it's crazy, and I'm just like, okay, I have it in my head, but I'm like, all these names are all the same.
Yeah, you can see the family tree online, but like, so he claims that he's related to them through being a bastard, and that's why he has to hide his face, because like, again, we know what happens in those cases. If someone tries to lay claim to something in a family like this, they will just try to take them out, as we saw already in Game of Thrones. So that's the fact that that's in play, whether or not it's true. Like you said, it's going to come back around. I think either bite that guy in the ass or something's got to happen with that storyline. That seemed like too much of like just a throwaway kind of moment. And then this is where we see Aegon. He goes to the pleasure house after the bar there, and then he goes and starts opening up all the blinds there, essentially all the curtains of like
You
where
see
everyone's
full
having
cock.
sex behind them. You see a full blowjob happen.
I was taken
That was
aback. I was like,
crazy.
Because as soon as he opens up the first one, you see like a close up of somebody like just going to town.
Getting head. Yeah, man.
So I thought that was interesting.
I
But
was
then,
like, what am I watching? Like, am I watching House of the Dragon still?
Right.
Like, did something
No, you
flip
switched to
over?
porn.
but JT, just like I predicted, you then see a full frontal nude scene of a guy, not of a woman. See, you do see a blowjob, but you do also see like because you were complaining about the fact there was no nude women lately in this first couple of episodes in this season. But I said
You
last
told the
episode,
guys.
I'm like, watch, you're gonna see a naked dude next. That's what's gonna happen. And here we go. That you see, then he opens up the curtain and he finds his brother who he's looking for, Aemon, curled up like a chicken thigh with his madame hair of the
Like
the
a chicken thigh.
whorehouse.
Nico must do that a lot. Crybaby Cole.
Confiding in him like I heard like he does. And yeah, he just he goes and continues to say like how embarrassing it is that he still lays with this woman that he lost his virginity to.
It's
I think it's
loyal.
kind of sweet.
It's very
It's
fucking
loyal.
embarrassing for him though, and it pushes him to the
Yeah.
point to be like, oh yeah, let your squire have your fun with her. She's a whore or whatever, and like he like walks off, and it's kind of like, you know what I mean? Like that's the one place clearly this guy can be vulnerable with somebody, and like this guy goes and shits all over the situation, just busting in there. I'm like, he's gonna kill this guy. Like honestly, like
Aemon is gonna kill Aegon. Is that what you think?
he's
I
good
would.
if he
For
does it.
years
brother,
of
yeah.
torment. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is terrible. This is fucking
You shove a
terrible.
pig up his ass or something. You know how they
Yeah.
give him the pig
Oh,
in the
yeah. That'd be great.
And the best part about it is all the knights that were standing there weren't even laughing. Like they didn't even find it amusing. Obviously, they're afraid to like probably laugh at him because like, you know, of like his
I
place. But like at the same time, it's just like they didn't even look like they were having a good time with it. Like Aegon was. Like he was the one that was hammered, just like you know, like embarrassing him like this. And then
What a brother. That's such a sibling thing to do. Just be like, ha ha ha.
Right.
Ha, ha.
Right. But like again, in front of all his boys like that, oh, it's brutal. And then you get the
I can
full
picture my
frontal
brother doing that to me.
Yeah.
No. He
exposing you in a
wouldn't.
whorehouse.
Because I would to him. I mean, straight up. I would
That-
make fun of him if he's cuddling like a chicken thigh or whatever you said.
Then of course you get the talk of the internet this week with his defiant stand up as he gets up off the bed, full frontal nudity.
Badass.
Apparently not a prosthetic according to the actor because he had to put that out there this week. Yeah, well, listen, he's not hard. I mean, whatever, and you know, so
His
he
hair's
gets up-
covering it all too. It's not like
But
they
he's-
had shavers.
as thin as as much as the comments were going around about him being thin because he's so gangly and tall, he's fucking jacked. This guy's got like an 8-pack or something. It looked like there in that quick
Yeah,
scene.
he's
This
I
guy's-
really
didn't look
fit.
down that far, Nico, to see if it was an 8-pack. I didn't look down that
I
far.
mean, come on now, man. Like you're
I took a
watching the
glance
show.
at the
Like,
cock,
I mean, it's
you know, to see how
listen.
big it was, so I can make fun of it. And then
If you wanna
after
comment
I
on
just
that, you
thought he was a
can.
badass. No, I just thought he was a badass the way he walked out like that, full frontal, like right in front of everybody. He didn't give a fuck, man.
Yeah.
He was mad, and that fucking blue eye is crazy, man.
Yeah,
The sapphire eye. I really want to know what the thing is about the sapphire. Like, what is that?
I
Like,
want
why?
that eye, man. I mean, not literally, but I want it to have like on my desk or something.
You want to give a rating to the cock there, Jay? How about it? Throw out a rating.
You know, compared to mine, it's probably around the same average, so it's about pretty small.
You're sitting there commenting on me talking about his how ripped he is.
Mine's about
Meanwhile,
like this.
you're
so-
the one who talked about how small his cock is,
You know
that
how
you're
they
giving it a rating.
say
Come on, what's
like
the
this?
rating?
You know how they say this, right? Mine's more like this, and that's it. Just stays down.
What, you
But
gonna give him a 6 out of 10?
I give him half, maybe 5 out of 5, maybe 5 out of 10. Yeah, yeah, maybe I'll
5
give
out
him
of 5?
I'd give myself 4, so maybe I'll give him a little bit more because he's an actor. So
There you go,
I mean,
guys.
there's a reason why I've been single for so long. Come on.
Well, Christina, are you happy I didn't ask you to give the cock rating? I give it to Jay.
Well, let's ask your husband.
I was just ask my husband.
what
Sure.
the cock rating was about. Hey, no, sorry.
Let me call him in.
Yeah.
Hey, Lewis, we need you
Yeah,
on
we
the
need your
show.
We
opinion
need
with
you
your
for the
cock
cock
rating.
rating. No, honestly, I was just so taken aback. At first, it was the blowjob, and I was like,
I know.
okay, like what is happening? And
Yeah.
then second of all, and then it was the nudity, and I was like,
Yeah.
what is happening? Like, if I wasn't paying attention before, now I'm really paying attention because I'm like, what is going
Well,
on?
listen, good on them. I mean, you are in a pleasure house, right? You're in a, like you should see things.
And
It's like the
the
saying
women
goes.
are constantly completely naked. Like,
Yeah,
not only breasts are one thing, but like you're seeing vag, like in
you are.
all of
Well, you're not
Game
seeing
of
lips or
Thrones.
anything. I mean, like
No, but that's
you're
the
just
thing.
seeing
That's how they
front.
get away with it because they're all not shaved. These people, so you're not really seeing. You're just seeing. You know what I mean? You're seeing less as a result, right? So that's how they kind of get away with it in the show in that regard.
Shay.
But
You're
but
gross.
but yeah, I mean, at least they didn't shy away from it. It is a whorehouse, right? So like you're gonna see that stuff. It's like the saying: if you're gonna go into a locker room, you're gonna see cocks, right? I mean,
I guess it is how it is, right? I mean, it is what it is, right?
or
But
however that saying goes. I don't know if that's the right saying, but
no, honestly, I even wrote after I said now what because Eamon looked pissed, man, and I just want to see what comes of it after now. No pun intended with coming, you
He's
know.
yeah, he's definitely gonna retaliate. There's definitely gonna be something going on because this is now how many Aegon has embarrassed him so many times in his
yeah,
life. It's kind of like, all
he's a
right.
ticking time bomb at this point. And like, you know, that, and then the whole thing where he's like, you know, one whore is as good as another. He says about like, you know, his woman there after he gets up all pissed off, like, you know, that sucks for her because obviously he doesn't feel that way about her. He's just trying to like, you know, be like, oh, I don't care, or whatever, right? Try to
He
act like
loves the whore.
Then this next scene, you get Rhaenyra scene of contemplation, and then she like, I don't know, there's like a straight like 2 minutes of her like contemplating in this scene, and then you just see her reveal the fact that she received a scroll that you find out later was from
She's
Alicent.
playing with her kids' toys. It's like the saddest scene on the face of the planet.
Yeah.
Was that her kids' toys, or was that part of the?
Yeah.
I thought that was maybe part of the strategy pieces or whatever. I wasn't sure.
Oh, the box where the pieces were hidden. So maybe that's where, but I mean, in the beginning, like when you first see her, she's sitting on the floor playing with her son's toys.
Yeah.
Like it's really sad. Like it's kind of like, you know, she doesn't know when she's ever going to see, or if she's ever going to see these babies again.
The other thing though that she had was where the scroll was hidden from Alicent. That was basically her speaking on her remorse for how things have panned out essentially so far. So, which kind of gives her the in that she was previously wanting or talking about in the episode, playing with the idea of that she's like, okay, she also feels this way, so maybe I can reach out to her, right? Then we kind of see this whole scene of Criston on the road, and he kind of urges that they continue through the forest and camp overnight. And Alicent's brother, what's his name again?
Gwyn.
Ginger.
Says that he'd rather stay at an inn overnight, and he's kind of like, we're exposed out here. You shouldn't stay at an inn. And this is when Baela scares them essentially because she's overhead spying on them as she was advised to figure out where they were headed. And she gets way too close, which is something Rhaenyra didn't want, but she kind of chases them as they kind of flee into the woods in this scene. And this is where Gwyn there says afterwards that he owes Criston a debt, his life, because he kind of saved him in this moment from getting attacked there from the.
Well, he spotted something going on up there, man. He's got. I mean, there's a reason he's one of the head knights. I mean, to be honest with you. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Hey, he knows.
He would
be banging everybody, man. Seriously.
Honestly, I thought this because he's getting action. That's why he's the only one getting action.
Yeah. She's hot, man.
You know what? That is the case. Because when Daemon was getting laid, JT was all over Daemon. And now it's like, and now he's not getting laid anymore because his wife's pissed off. And now he's like, no, it's all about the coal.
JT is living vicariously through the Game of Thrones characters these days.
It's my life, bro. I'm loving it. I keep talking about it at work, man. People are like, shut up, I haven't seen it. Now I know you guys went through, man.
Oh, you're the worst. You're bad, Dad. Don't do that. You should know better. You should know better.
They if they tell me no, I haven't talked about it, then yeah, But
JT's just playing our episode of watching the Throw It at work. Hey guys, just put this
On full blast, like
Yeah.
hooked it up to the the loudspeaker.
Oh man.
But sorry, what were we gonna say, Christina? There, you were something you were.
I loved this scene. Like Moon Dancer is such a pretty dragon, like blue with the black stripes, like so pretty, small but pretty.
Yeah.
Fast
But I
as
think
fuck, eh?
well, that's
I
what
think she could have been faster. I mean, considering it's a horse versus a dragon. Like seriously.
But I
Yeah,
think
but she
for
had to
what
come all the
she's
way from the sky.
what she's being utilized for here, like the attributes of this dragon, I think work very well for what she's doing with the dragon, right? Like to his point, yeah, I agree.
And I think she
I
just
saw
really
someone-
wanted to get a good visual. That's why she got close, because she didn't engage, right?
I
Right.
saw someone getting really pissed, like in like the commentary about this was like, why didn't you just like Rhaenys had the opportunity to like blow all the greens up when she busted through the boards like at Aegon's coronation? Like, why didn't Bela just blast fire at all of these guys and like barbecue them all? Like she could have like totally saved whatever, right? Like, but dramatic effect, right?
Yeah.
But it's like she says, fear is the best way, right? Like they always say using a fear tactic is probably better than using a straight up I'm gonna come
Murder
after you
tactic.
But I feel like all these people, like especially even the people in our council, which they mentioned in this next scene, they're all just like, just get on your dragon and go. Like the guy in his council, in our council in this next scene, say that they're like, just get on your dragon. We know where he is. Just go there and just put, blow him up. Like put this guy on fire, incinerate him. Like they're like, what's wrong with you? Like you have a dragon, we don't, right? So they're like, you need to go do this, right? And we could put an end to this, Kristen Cole. And but she is trying to avoid war. She's trying to be like her father. She's trying to be pragmatic. She's trying to be smart about it, right? Like so, like I get it, but it is true. There's
Also,
so many ways this could end.
Dracarys.
Yeah, exactly.
Just Dracarys, everybody.
So then that's when he kind of shoots back about at the end of this, like, we're not staying at an inn, we're gonna sleep in the forest, whatever. Like I told you, right? Of course, he had to get one up
by night. You know.
Bela then reports back to council, apologizes for getting so close because her mother advised her not to, Rhaenyra. And then she's like, how could you tell it was him? And she's like, I was close enough. And she's like, no, listen, she did the right thing. One of the council members like it. And she's like, yeah, thank you for that. But listen, he's on the way to Harrenhal. They're like, Daemon's at Harrenhal. We should go out there and do something about it. The time to act is now. Rhaenyra kind of listens to all of their advisements, is like, yep, I'll take these into consideration. Thank you for your suggestions. And basically just ends the council meeting because she's going to go off and because clearly this is not what she wants. Right. So
Rhaenyra is a true woman because women are like, yeah, honey, like husbands are like, we need to do this. We need to do that. Blah, 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 blah.
In the show,
and women are like, yeah, you know what, hun? Okay. Yeah, for sure. We'll do that. And then we just do what we want to do anyways. So it's like her having a council is kind of like moot. Councils work for men because men need like guidance. Women already know what we're doing. Like we already know.
Women just want to blow things up. At the end of the day, they don't care. I'm sorry.
They just want to watch the world
Catch
burn.
them at the wrong time of the month and you're in trouble.
It's kind of true. Depends on the hormones for sure. 100%.
Or if they're pregnant.
Oh yeah, don't even go there. Yeah, it's just like
exactly.
Just give me a salami sandwich and watch the world burn.
Not to mention she is a Targaryen, so we already know that makes matters worse. So but I do like it is true. You're right. She already had her mindset on whatever she was planning on doing. The wheels were moving. She's like, oh, okay. And then she's like, yep, thank you for all your advisements. Dismissed. It's just like
she's like a wife, 100%. True.
Yeah. And then this is where we get the Harrenhal scene where Daemon has a trippy vision, but just as great. I love seeing the actress who played the young Rhaenyra again in this episode because I just think she did such a good job. Honestly, I really wish that was the whole first season. Honestly, I kind of even revisiting it the second time for this show when we talked about it, I was so disappointed to not see her again after that 5th episode or whatever, because I think she did a really good job. But I get why they had to move the story forward, and that I'm glad they just didn't keep her and like try to make her look older or whatever for the sake of whatever was going on in this show, right? As some shows do, it just doesn't work. But that was really cool seeing her in this scene, which I'm not usually one for like dream sequences and things like that in shows. It really kind of annoys me. If there's one trope I really don't like, it's that. But I thought this was kind of trippy, kind of cool. It was very quick. It had
Very
her,
haunting.
yeah, it had her sewing up Jaehaerys's head to the body, saying how like it's always Damon's fault. He leaves everybody with all the mess to
I
pick
always
up.
have to clean up after him.
Yeah.
So these are the dead. That was one of the dead children that maybe they had
Yes.
together. Yeah, stillborns
No.
or whatever.
Yeah, that's Helena's.
That's the one that Blood and Cheese beheaded
in the end of the first episode.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
The kid, the little baby that she was holding. I thought the baby was dead.
So from the procession that had the head that was we thought was going to fall off of this body, the one that got it sewed back on, that you think is not real, is real.
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
the
fake,
guy. It's a
yeah.
girl. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that is that's who she was sewing the head back onto.
Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't say it. That's why I was just guessing. I didn't know if they had.
Well, what
some
other
stillborns
babies'
before
heads
that.
have you seen sewn on during this show?
I
You're
thought
right.
she was just sewing something on, like around, like here. I didn't even think it was sewing. To be honest, I thought she was just fixing something on the clothes.
Listen, to buy it, but
On
to
a
buy
dead
into
body.
your to buy into your previous theory, though, was that even that kid? Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it's them hinting at there's another
They
child.
still say
That's
the kid. They say the child. They still don't say what. They don't say boy or girl.
they
Did
do
you
look very
notice?
alike. They do look very alike,
They still don't when when they talk about it. They still don't say boy or girl. When
right?
they mention it in the show, they don't.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you listen to every
So I was
time they bring it up, yeah.
that's what I'm saying. So if we're gonna feed into that theory, then yeah, maybe this is the witch
Scary.
trying to. She does apparently know that she can tell the future. And then it cuts to Damon, who's like out in the courtyard of this place of Harrenhal, not in his bed chambers there, as like I guess where he started out at the start of this dream or vision, whatever that he had. She brought him on some vision quest, and he ends up outside, and he turns around and he sees that woman who I'm like, oh, must be a witch woman, and she's like, you will die here, and then just runs off. It just leaves him alone there in the dark. I would have been like, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Why'd you skip the tree part? Like he was at the tree, bro.
I was gonna tee it up for you because
okay,
I know you
okay.
want to talk about it. Go ahead,
He
tell us
was
about
at
the
the
tree.
tree. He was at the tree.
He was
Now,
in front of a tree.
no,
Ew.
it was one of those fucking trees that are
Werewood trees.
Yes, and they're magical. They talk to you. Like I mean, they were talking to what's the brand in the first fucking season.
Okay.
In the first series. Sorry.
So along with JT's
Red
like
was the tree in
along with
So maybe
JT's
Damon's
like
gonna become the tree.
love of this thing. I think these weirwood trees, they are known to elicit prophecies and visions and all of that. So it's not so
They're
crazy
special.
that JT is like riding the
No, I just like making fun of him because he's always thinking about these trees for whatever reason. Like,
No,
Yeah, I
because
know.
I dive deep and I keep thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. I mean, I watched this episode 3.5 times, bro.
wow, look at him.
Fuck you guys. You guys got me addicted to this shit. All right. I can't stop.
right
I
here,
wait
Jay.
every Sunday for
right
it.
here.
Yeah. I wait every Sunday, man, for it. I'm dying until it comes out on TV,
wow.
on TV.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, trust me.
You're even more hardcore about
it
it than we are this season.
Yeah.
Wow,
I
I'm
couldn't find
actually
it.
very impressed. I didn't think I would find someone as like hardcore as I am. I mean, my brother-in-law is pretty hardcore too, but like
For sure.
you're
It's a sickness.
But I
This
just
whole
can't. I
fucking
don't know
series.
why you
it
can't
is
get
the
over.
disease.
Yeah, like you can't get over this tree thing though.
The
I-
weirwood tree is Jay's favorite character.
It is.
It's his favorite
I don't
character.
know.
I'm gonna
I
I'm gonna
need
make
to
a
know
t-shirt for
why-
you.
I know they're all everywhere in Winterfell, and the Harrenhal is different. I know, but
I think
the other one
each
that
castle
we had
has
was-
one.
something of that sort, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, and I just love the CGI
Oh.
in this episode today.
I just
this week.
okay. Mm-hmm.
What was that? I just thought.
I just thought, because I'm like, each castle seems to have one. So it's like, I wonder if the prophecies, or like, the three-eyed raven, that's how he sees what's happening everywhere, because he's
Yeah, he can
zooming
bounce
into like
around
all these trees.
like portals. Yeah, probably.
Who knows? I mean, it's pretty cool. Like I just like that it was still there.
If anyone's
I mean,
watching that wants to comment, please let us know your thoughts.
Yeah,
That'd be
yeah.
very
I
cool.
mean, there is
because
people watching, but
I
yeah,
like
guys.
the red trees,
As a reminder,
the
you
red
can always take part
leaves.
in the chat, everybody.
Yeah,
Nico,
You just have to be signed into your YouTube account, and you can type live in the chat if you have any comments about this scene or the show in general. All right,
or if
so
you just want to make fun of us.
yeah, sure. Like nerds. Anyways, there is threads online, even from a few years ago, that ask why there's a werewood tree in Harrenhal, Jay. So if you are curious enough, the answers are out there. All right.
I don't want to look it up, but I want to just be right at the
That's
end.
why
Nico wants to get over this. He's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap up here, Jay. Allison speaks to Mysteria for advice in this next scene as she plans to meet with Allison to help avoid this war. Mysteria tells her she suggests that she goes to the church because she knows that that's the one place that she can probably catch Allison outside of the castle that she goes by herself to. As we know that she's very religious and she does go to church. So she ends up going there dressed like a nun. Yes, the shame nun looks exactly like her with the same kind of.
I thought about that. I was like, is it the same kind of dress?
We talked about it early in the episode before you joined us, but the actress who played her actually had wrote on social media the fact that she's like, "Hey, that's my outfit" or whatever about her wearing it in this episode, which is very fun. It's fun that she's getting in on it, as I mentioned on the whole conversation, and so she goes there. By the way, as a side note, I love this whole people putting on disguises and going incognito in this series so far.
Can't pick up a phone, bro.
It's fun. I don't know. It's kind of fun. I like the fact that she's dressing up as a nun to work her way into the city here.
That's balls, though.
The whole twins thing that happened last episode. There's some fun stuff going on in the way that they're kind of getting creative.
Well, to be fair, it's like if people have never if people don't know what the queen looks like,
right? Yeah.
Why not? Only a select handful of people are going to know who that is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like you said, it's not like her picture is posted all over the town. Right. And yeah. So she's
not a Kardashian.
She can cover her white hair. Yeah. That's all she needs to cover.
So she successfully gets into the church so that they may speak. And this is where this final scene comes into play. She successfully goes there and finds her in the church, speaks to her. They come to the realization after she asks her about her father's last moments alive that he actually meant Aegon the Conqueror, not Aegon, her son. And then it dawns on her. And then like an idiot, she basically just says, well, it's too late now. And advises her that she should get the hell out of here. Let's unpack this. Let me just finish what I'm about to say here because I have a lot of thoughts on this. And she asked her, did he speak my name in his final moments? That's kind of what she was more concerned about because they seem to be getting nowhere, kind of saying everything that's happened to one another. And she even says, she's like, he was hard to understand at the end. Like she literally
was weary. Yeah. He was
Yet you took him
incoherent.
To say as this is him clearly changing his mind at the last moment. So stupid. And then she basically, she gets upset at her and she even says I think you would make a good king. This is not my issue. It's the fact that he changed his mind. He changed his mind, Rhaenyra. She's so sure that he changed his mind even to, and then
Alicent, right?
Alicent. And then it's revealed that she may have been wrong. She's like, oh, the Conqueror, dawns on her. She had this stupid fucking look on her face. She's like, well, it's too late, Rhaenyra. And then she runs off. So what'd you guys think of this? What'd you think of this? This scene?
Go first, Christina, go.
I think this scene was fantastic because it's at least someone acknowledged Like now the truth is out there. Now the truth, Rhaenyra knows that it's like this was a
X-Files.
whole huge misunderstanding. And the same with Alicent. Knows it's a huge misunderstanding, but of course Alicent can't retract because her fucking grandchild was just murdered. Like Alicent's grandchild was just murdered for this. And it's like she can't go back. And maybe this is what Helena was prophesizing, like, I forgive you, because it's like Alicent just made a huge fucking mistake at the expense of her grandchild and potentially everyone else in her family. So I don't know. But for Rhaenyra, I feel vindicated for her. Because she's like, okay, so like I am the true heir. This is supposed to be my throne, but now it's a matter of like pride. It's not a matter
How does
of
she
like
prove it though. That's the thing. It's hard to prove because all he mentioned is the saying that the prince that was promised the realm. He didn't. But if he was weary and he was the way that he was talking the way like she said, Allison said he was. Maybe he was trying to say the princess too. Maybe he's talking about Alice. Maybe he's talking about Rhaenyra. So I don't know. Like it's a weird thing, and how is she gonna prove it? That's what I'd like to know.
So this this is the second time that Rhaenyra has brought up a Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah.
Right. So the first time was with Damon and then now with Alicent. And both times it's like Rhaenyra has brought it up and they've both had this puzzled look on their faces. Like, what are you talking about? Because that story is a story that's passed down from heir to heir. So if Viserys had never mentioned this to Alicent before or never mentioned this to anybody before, she truly was intended to be the heir to the Iron Throne as per Viserys. So it's like you can't really prove it to anybody else, and no other man would have had to prove it, right? To know this story, it's just what gets passed down. But I guess in a way she can prove it by lighting the dagger on fire. But Aegon is never gonna give her the dagger. He's never gonna give it to her.
Yeah, it's like a Targaryen story, this whole thing, because that's why
it's a dream. It was a dream.
Comes to that realization, she says, like you both said, the prince that was promised to unite the realm. She's like, he spoke to you about the Song of Ice and Fire, and she's like clueless, and then that's, I get it from this I did like the moment that they shared together, that they still kind of related to one another, that they referenced certain things in their lives, that she knew she wasn't suited for this whole war thing, that they learned that day in court with the Kristen Cole thing and like the bloodshed that was happening in that moment, that she wasn't really a fan of that kind of stuff. And like, she knew she didn't want to go to war, and she knew she didn't want to be in this position. But you're right. Like, it's honest. I get it from the sense, like, it's too late. There's too much blood on everyone's hands at this point. It just sucks that this thing spiraled out of control from one mistake to the next, from them thinking that she killed the baby, from her thinking that the son was supposed to be the heir because of something the dying father said. So it's just something, the whole thing really could have been avoided, but unfortunately it didn't, right? So that's what kind of makes it interesting. I do get she's saying it's out of my hands now, because she's like, she mentions Otto's gone. Like, he's been kicked out. She's banging Kristen Cole. She doesn't say that, but that's a conflict of interest. And she's like, and Aemon's out of control, basically. She's like, how he is. So like, I have no control over this whole, she basically says, I have no control over this situation anymore. So it's too late. And she runs out of there. But the fact that she's not even going to try, or at least it seems like it in this moment, that's what pisses me off about her being like,
she's
it's too late
now. Yeah. Greedy, bro. She's up there, and she's the queen kind of thing. Like, so, she's up there now in power where she wasn't before.
Yeah,
and you can see how Rhaenyra's tried to say, like, my father did love you, right? Like,
yes,
she even said it, right? Like, the only one that was actually trying to bring it back was what's her name? Was Rhaenyra, right? And trying to straighten it out. She's the only one that seemed like, listen, we can stop this whole thing, We can.
It's like I said, Alicent can't go back. There's got to be some type of, Alicent probably knows it's probably treason. It's treason. It's treason. She will be hanged. Her kids will be hanged. Like, it is treason to that. You literally usurped the throne from the rightful heir. There's no way. And your grandson is dead. Like, there's no way you can come back from this alive. So she's gonna fight tooth and nail to be like, no, too bad, so sad. That's not what he meant. Like, she's gonna pretend that she doesn't understand this. There's something that's gonna happen that's gonna like turn it. Like, there's got to be something.
Something's gonna set Rhaenyra. Like her face changed at the end of this episode. Like if you notice when they zoom in, zoom in, she's got that look. Like what the fuck do I do now? And now she's like, okay,
well, she has no
choice.
choice.
Sort of thing.
She has no choice
sort of
now.
like
She's
game on now.
She played her last card. It's not even that it's game on and she's relishing the fact like she's looking forward to it, but she played all her cards like try and prevent this. And everybody in her corner wants to go to war. And she was the only one that was trying to be like, maybe there's another way to get it to not have this happen. But now it seems like if there's any retaliation against her, I think she's going to be like bloodthirsty over this whole situation, show her Targaryen ways. And yeah, you're right. She'll be in war mode because like, I think like that's all we need now is one more indiscretion to her side of the family. And it's going to probably be a doozy. And then I think that's it. The gloves are off, quite frankly.
Oh, it's gotta be. I mean, they have to, they're not going to settle this. I don't think it's going to be the end of one or the other. And it's going to be just a matter.
It is going to be the end of one or the other because it is one of the. I don't know. I keep hearing conflicting things, and I don't want to know spoilers, so nobody spoil it, please. But like, it is going to be the end of one of these houses for sure because there has to be an end to one of these houses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we all know that Targaryens, there's only in the next Game of Thrones, we all know that there's only a few, right? There's only 2 of them at the end.
Yeah,
right?
yes, I know that it ends eventually, but there is still a Targaryen on the throne. So it's like, which line of succession did they come from? Did they come from Rhaenyra's side or did they come from Aegon's side?
And we already know that there's Targaryens after these Targaryens that rule.
Yeah.
Well. We already know that.
But one side fails, and it's like I don't know which side that is. I have an idea, but I don't know, and I don't want to know.
I don't want to read it too much either. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean that does it for this episode. I mean it was an interesting ending. I just think like to get the full experience out of this ending, we really are gonna have to see how this plays out from here on out because like it's interesting that she is able to recognize and maybe not admit, but recognize the fact that she was wrong in this moment. But whether or not that will change things now, I don't think so, unless she's willing to actually go to bat for Rhaenyra, which she
Alicent dies all of a sudden.
Yeah, she did not seem like she wanted to at the end of this episode. So I think she's just refusing to kind of. I mean, she claims that she can't do anything, but I feel like she could do something if she really wanted to. But whether or not she's going to do it, we'll see, right?
I can't wait.
We'll see how it plays out.
And it's nice to see that like after this, it's funny because you see the episode and then you see this much afterwards, like when you're watching when you're watching it like upload and you're seeing it and it stops, like it ends, the intro that comes on, the exit, like in the credits and stuff, and then you got this much more to watch, like another 15 minutes afterwards, and it's with everybody talking about it, right? Like it's always stay tuned after the show and they talk about kind of.
Oh, I never watch those previews. I deliberately do not like when
they
shows
don't talk
do that.
about. They don't talk about.
No, I know
just that episode.
I know what you're talking about. That's the other show that they're talking about the making of the show and doing that kind of stuff with the people that created the show. But there is also sometimes they'll be like, oh yeah, and on next episode this may happen, and then they show you like clips of it and stuff like that. Like I hate those clips. I never watch them because I'm like I'm gonna watch it anyways. I don't need to see them allude to something that's going to happen next episode. You know what I mean? I hate when shows do that kind of stuff. Because I feel like I saw some promos for the next episode of that floating around as well. They're on the internet. Like
I've just been avoiding all the trailers and everything.
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of happy that I don't follow social media that much. So it's good that way, right? I try to stay off all that.
We open up the show talking about that. It is good and bad in that sense for this show because there is a lot of things you can come across. Some things will help you learn the show more that they may like. There is a lot of things I've learned between the last 2 episodes from actually just seeing posts about stuff, which aren't really spoilers, but they're just like kind of like adding on to something. Yeah, some things that have already been established in these episodes from maybe from the book or other sources, but which I think I found interesting and have helped me understand the show better. But then there's other things, like you said, that you really don't want to read into because it's stuff that have happened and that has happened already in the books that will definitely spoil the story for you. So you got to watch out for that stuff, right?
For sure.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode, though. As always, you can tune into these episodes live. We've been trying to stick to Wednesdays, but if it doesn't work out on Wednesdays, we'll usually air it on a Tuesdays. So Tuesday. So follow us on Instagram at Late Night Chat Network to be notified of when these shows do go out. And sorry for the late start today, unfortunately, and sorry for Jay being able to join us late here today. But no, I mean, sometimes it's unavoidable. We just, since we were doing it live, we kind of just went ahead and started without him here today. But he's always around, as you can see. He didn't want to miss out on this discussion here. So,
yeah,
this
one was a good one.
Yeah. So yeah, make sure to tune in, like, and subscribe. And you could also hit the notification bell to be notified of when these shows go out or any of our shows here on the Late Night Chat Network as well. And thank you for tuning in. But take part in the chat. Make sure to come through and take part in the chat, guys. I see a lot of viewers. I need some people to kind of jump in here with your comments. Let us know what you're thinking about the episode as well, or join in on the conversation here. We encourage people, right? So we'll see what next week brings. But this has been good so far, I think. Overall, good season so far and good discussion here. These have been fun episodes. Mm-hmm. Thank you to Christina, as always, and JT, the other Sir Cole here.
Thanks to you guys.
All right. All right, everybody. I'm the cry baby Cole. All right, let me bring up the song here for you guys as I see us out here.
My favorite song. JT's
favorite part.
It's starting to grow on me. I've been watching the intro.
Oh my God, he's falling in love. He's falling in love.
I am. I love that the way that the intro just opens up. How that thing is being.
All that emotion.
It's just so fucking cool, man.
Right before our very eyes. Look at it. We made a super fan out of you.
Fuck off. You guys screwed me, man. Now I don't know what to do.
All right,
man. But love.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Peace out.